Alright, hi everybody, it's Bonkai922. I went out tonight. I went to this Islander hockey game. I saw them. They lost. But I'm not an Islander fan, so that's beside the point. I went to Denny's, had the Hobbit breakfast. But anyway, moving on. Bleach. Now my internet was a little going crazy before. Looking at it right now, it seems to be fine, so hopefully I'm able to upload this. I also have a unboxing vid that I might upload as well. But this chapter, Bleach, 559. Okay, last week we had Kumamura, and in this week we didn't really get the thing with Bambietta, so that's probably going to be waited. That's going to be pushed aside for the time being and waited until later. Instead, what we got in this chapter was hashwalt and his ability. And I believe this chapter was called Night Shift. Night Right. The Night Right. Truth be told, I'm going to give this a 3.5. I know that's like Bankai, 3.5? Let me explain. The thing with hashwalt and what he did in this chapter, that's not why this is getting a 3.5. I'm talking about like 3 characters that were defeated off screen. I was like, ooh, what's going on here? We see this freaking... Listen. Does there really have to be a luchador, Quincy? I'm sorry, but that is just... Kuro needs to stop watching wrestling. I'm sorry. He needs to stop watching Mexican wrestling. And I'm not being racist there. I'm just saying, man, what's the big deal with this luchador, Quincy? What's the spiel? He even had to ring this guy with him who was ringing a bell. I'm like, no, that is too... Just, So, yeah, I mean, that was the part that I looked at, and I was like, I was like, what? And who I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about Hisagi, Ikkaku, and Yamichika. They essentially get defeated off screen. I'm like, no, man. But, yeah, let's get into this summary. Enough of the bantering. In the beginning, we got Hashwald against Kuraku. They're pretty much, she's saying the course of the battle seems to be in flux. And Kuraku's saying, I think so as well. And... it seems like that they believe something, that the battle is different now. And he says that for this fluctuating scale, my role is to tip the balance.
I'm a songwriter.
Sorry about that. Basically to tip the balance. So essentially that is where we're already getting this tip in the very beginning of this chapter, that this is supposedly Hashwald's ability. B for balance. Now, he begins to fight Kuraku again, and there's a big blast and everything, and Kuraku makes mentions about how he can steal Reishi and everything, and so on and so forth. And Hashwald saying it took more time than expected. It is a splendid technique. And then we see Nanao saying she's flattered about it. However, if you took time for you to chip away at that wall, it means I can have time to build a new one. Pretty much. And she brings up the point that it's made out of small hexagons and everything, and so on and so forth, pretty much. And saying that, look at the composition of Reishi. He's saying, Hashwald, composition of Reishi, it's clearly more fragile than before. And saying that there's a trap lies within, there's no helping it. He decides that he's basically saying, I'll have to allow me to take more violent means. And the moment he's about to do something, we get the Quincy symbol right behind him. And he's like, he stops. And pretty much, seemingly, he's thinking, oh, he has to leave. It was weird when this happened. And he basically said, understood. And he says, an order to return to Selburn has been issued. Excuse me. And basically what this means is Bach basically told him to come back to Selburn. Selburn, I guess, is where they're located, where Bach is located, where Ulu is located, that building. That's what Selburn is probably. And he excuses himself to Karaku, saying his Majesty's orders are absolute. And he's a little small talk. I was like, why is... pretty much just small talk saying, oh, when can I expect your next visit? As soon as the order comes down, he basically telling Karaku, and he says, all mouth tea prepared. And then we get to the next page, title page, The Night Right. And that's when we see Ikkaku, Yumichika, and Hisagi. And they're basically talking about, about the Soul Society, that it wasn't nighttime, and now it's nighttime, and that whole bit. And, Hisagi shows up, and he says, what are you guys doing here, and so on and so forth. And they're saying that they got lost. And Ikkaku's telling them, basically,
today
we shouldn't
is the day.
Recklessly move at night. Within the shadows, right? Moving about ignorantly at night is playing right into their hands. And we see that freaking luchador! A shadow of him! I'm like, are you telling me Ikkaku is going to get defeated? Him and Hisagi and Yumichika are going to get defeated off screen? I was like, that was bullshit. I'm sorry, but that was bullshit when I found that out. And then we go back to the palace, to this, the place that he was going to, hashwalt. Judgment of the defeated will now commence. And apparently it's BG9 and Kang. Kang. They apparently have been caught by them. And they're going to be punished because they couldn't defeat their opponents. BG9 couldn't defeat Soifong. And Kang couldn't defeat Hitsugaya. I'm like... This was... I like how they did it. The whole thing. And pretty much what goes down is they're begging for them to reconsider because, their Valstan was able to show up and so on and so forth. He says, and pretty much Hashwalt saying, over the scales of battle must be balanced. A life saved by fortune must pay with an equal amount of misfortune. And BG9 tries to plead, and it doesn't work. And Kang is basically saying that he's Iron Kang and saying that that I will not be killed by anyone but by His Majesty's hands. And Hashwalt responds by saying, can't you see a second show of misfortune, of fortune? Can you see it? And basically you see what seems to be a scale. Like this, a scale with like a long here and a stem here, and it's like a... That's pretty much what you see. And it's got... There's this one of the things has a symbol on it, which I think is the Quincy symbol on there. Yeah, it's a Quincy symbol on there. He says the tipping of the scale. And he pretty much just gets hatched. Kang just gets hatched. And at the same time, we see Hisagi getting slammed. And Ikkaku, I think, getting slammed. And you see this guy, hey, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, What the fuck? I'm like, Kubo, no! Why?
My doctor said, well, you have cataracts, but we can get rid of them. You're...
Stupid ads. Anyway, why? That is the one part of this chapter that I was like, you've got to be shitting me. It's very windy here. You gotta be shitting me. That was bullshit. Ikaku and Isagi? You're basically what this stated. What this stated, I don't care what anyone says, Igaku and Isagi are fodder. That's what this stated. I'm like, what the seriously? Hey, if that's the case, Renji shows up at the end, he should be fodder too. If this is the case. But I could be mistaken, because essentially, even though Ikaku has a Bankai, he's not an essentially a lieutenant. But still, it's just bullshit. So he pretty much takes them out, and I'm like, God damn. And he says, hey, this fucking short, ugly motherfucker with a bell, like, hey, James, yes, mister. And he's like, babe. I'm like, what is this? When did Bleach turn into WWE? I want to know. Because this is bullshit. Okay, tell this reject to go back to the WWE, go hang out with Rey Mysterio Jr. I'm sorry. But, I mean, in the beginning, fine. Fine when they first introduced this Quincy. But now he's just annoying. I'm sorry. I find this Quincy very annoying. He just looks too... I don't know. But anyway, he pretty much takes these guys out. And he's basically saying he's taking care of all the captain levels. However, despite all the triumphs, it's sad that it had been done without an audience. James, and he's like, yeah, as you say, mister. I'm like, what the fuck are you? And then out of the blue, we see someone coming, lights showing up, coming down, flying in, and he's like, what is that light? And we see Rukia and Renji. Oh, by the way, Rukia looked like she was ready to go skiing down some slopes. Seriously, man. It looked like she was ready to ski down some slopes. Like, hey, man, I call it when I see it. But overall, I like the thing with hashwalt. Good chapter. It's just, that thing with the luchador, man. No. Fuck it. No. If that's the case, I'm more upset about that than Cang getting offed and BG9. Because at least with that scenario, you have an explanation of, the balance and everything. Here, they just get offed off. Ikaku and Isagi. Kubo, what is that about? And listen, I'm sorry. I don't like this Quincy. He needs to go back to the WWE and go wrestle Rey Mysterio Jr. because Kubo obviously is watching too much wrestling. That's obviously what's happening here. But still, good chapter. I like the whole thing with hashwalt. Wonder where this is going, because this does seem like the thing with Aizen and the Iran Car arc. How, but it's not. It is similar, but not completely. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I think there was a deeper meaning for why Hashwald did what he did. I mean, Bach basically told him to do it. So, the whole balance, skipping the scales, I think it was more to the lie of saying that they wanted to skip it's very confusing, the whole concept. But still, I liked it because we got an explanation about Hashwald's powers. Balance. That I liked. I'm just checking my make sure it's not fucking up. Anyway. But yeah, it was good. I liked how they explained that. Hey, Rukia and Reggie. I'm like, Rukia is ready to go down the slopes. It's cold outside, so she's ready to go ski. Hey man, I just call that I can see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, aside from this luchador, fat luchador, by the way, muscle luchador. Oh, by the way, you can't be a I mean, I could be wrong about this. Maybe you guys could tell me. Are luchadors that big? Seriously. Because when I was watching wrestling, luchadors were not that big. No, they weren't that big. But hey, that's just me. I take it I'll take it as a grain of salt. You know, I'm just pissed off. They just off screen. That is bullshit. I'm sorry. Gets a 3.5 because of that shit. That just I don't. Bullshit. But we'll see how this goes for next week. I wonder what's gonna happen now. Because it could happen two ways. One, we can go back to Bambietta. Or we can go to Renji and Rukia and them fighting this luchador guy. Yeah. And you know I'm wondering? Osnut. I wonder where he is now. Because, you know, I wonder where that's going to play in. Should be interesting. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Bankai 922. Man. Sorry, I'm not a fan of the luchador, Kubo. Not a fan. Especially when he takes out characters off screen. No, don't do that shit. Stop. I'm sorry. It just irked me. Very irked me. But yeah, that's the story, people. Bankai 922. I will see you guys later. Peace.